Hello, everybody! Welcome to another episode of 10 Forward Weekly. I am very excited to be here with systems designer Jonathan Herlache, ship artist Mauricio Tejerina, and a shard of possibilities, Thomas Marrone. Thomas's webcam isn't working, so we're dealing with whatever his webcam offline logo is. It looks like a Twitch logo on fire in a sea of Twitch logos.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
It's fine. Nobody worry about it.
Yeah,
My God, the
there's
cloud.
no problem. How are you folks doing today?
Great.
We're here. It's Friday-ish, kind of.
It's kind of Friday. It's kind of Friday for us, huh? Well, not for me,
Every
but for
day is
you all.
Friday.
For those of you who don't know, we're doing a big company bonding thing this week, and so a lot of folks are flying out of wherever they are to head to Cryptic Studios for a big party and lots of fun meetings, and I am instead going to WrestleMania. Because I'm that guy. All right. Well, quickly before we dive too much into some stuff, let's look at some of the cool fan art we were sent this week. First of all, Trexpert sent us this demo record edit of he's turned his ship into a Genesis planet. Here it is, drifting peacefully past the Earth. You wait till you see it turn. This is a good example of why we don't have Borg spheres as playable. Look at how that thing moves.
Oh, there it goes.
Genesis.
Yeah. Kyle Pancham sent
Silly.
us this cool shot of the I'm going to say either the Stitch or the Archeron, and whichever one I say, it's going to be wrong. So I'm going to say it's a Terran chip, everybody, and you'll tell me in chat what I did wrong.
What's this?
Yeah.
That's
it-
Akira, I
Acheron,
think.
which is the version of the sticks that we
There you
have.
true. There you go. Yeah. Jarek 10, I don't know what the issue is with the Miracle Worker Cyborg Boff, unless you mean that you can't edit her uniform, which is intentional. This is from Glitch 2319, which I understood that reference. 2319! This is a beautiful shot of Constitution class. Kyle Pancham sent us this cool shot of his I assume his captain, looking all Terran and Borgified, and that's not Borgified, that's the mind meld device. So I assume she punches real good. Mario Queekin sent us this shot of his Connie and my Vengeance from one of the previous streams we did. Very nice. He also sent us this cool shot. I just really like the energy of this one from the battle zone, other than the Dyson battle zone. It just kind of looks like this ship is winging towards that other one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And Rachel Oldham sent us this picture. Now you might look at this and say, this is not a Star Trek picture. No, it's not. But she was very happy about the Smash tournament she went to, and she wanted to send us a picture, and I am nothing if not merciful. So there you go, Rachel. All right. So we're gonna dive into ships very soon, but first, I know Jonathan, you wanted to give a little bit of an update on where we are with the Dilex, the dilithium exchange. For those of you who might not know what that means, so if you want to dive in, please take it away, sir.
Well, there's not a ton to say, just that we're keeping an eye on it, and we understand it to be pretty driven by speculation. The initial deflationary wave was like once there was broad consensus that the Dilex was gonna probably dip below 500, people started manipulating their like how much they were exposing to the market, and like that process of like dumping your reserves or holding your reserves, trying to time it, that's still ongoing. So there's a lot of like sloshing back and forth as people with large reserves of dilithium decide what they want to do with it. But we're definitely still keeping an eye on the Dilex, and we don't consider it to be like a done deal.
Awesome.
We have at least one other measure in our pocket that we're looking at approaching.
Very cool.
And the other thing I wanted to say about it was, sorry, it slipped my mind, but there was a lot of like, well, why now? And part of it was that the bot farm getting exposed, that was a big deal. But there's another part of it that wasn't as obvious, which is that we got acquired by Gearbox. For a long time, Perfect World was very reluctant to ban anybody, and that was that really complicates things when you're trying to deal with the botting problem. And Gearbox does not have issues banning botters. So yeah, it made life a lot simpler.
All right. Very cool. Somebody asked in chat, I lost the name, if you've put out all the fires now, which it sounds like from our brief chat this morning that you are at least sitting in a room that's smoldering as opposed to being actively on fire.
Yeah, I would say I'm not hiding under the tinfoil just now. I'm at more of like, there's some parts of the room I'm not allowed to go to unless I'm like, covered in damp cloth or something. But and like I can't really breathe near the ceiling, but it's better. It's significantly better.
Very cool. All right. Well, would you all like to see some starships before we get buried in more questions here? Now, we are any bug reports you throw in. Christian is hanging out and writing those down, so we'll get that report soon. And questions you are sending, we're keeping an eye on. But of course, as we're doing starship stuff, we're going to be talking on. We're going to be looking at those and answering them as we go. Okay, people are saying starships, please. So I guess we should get on with that. What do y'all think?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
Let's
know.
do
I
it.
don't know. Thomas didn't really sound sure, so I think we're gonna talk about something.
You gotta go
else
look at
for
Christmas
an hour.
lights first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go look at Christmas lights first. An hour before we can open our presents.
Yeah. Cool. Kevin Pierce, when are we getting more ships from older games? When we decide we want to do more ships from older games. But maybe you'll be excited about something tonight. I don't know. I don't know if you will. Actually, I have zero idea. But let's look at some ships. So as previously expressed, these are 2 new legendary ships. They will be coming together in a bundle, and that bundle will release 2 weeks from now. Normally, we do this stream a week early from when we are going to be announcing stuff, or the week we're going to be announcing stuff, and a week early from release. But there was some timing stuff that meant we should do it tonight. So you all get a very early preview for the blog coming out next week. And first up. First and foremost, well, not foremost, but first, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, the legendary Akira is here. Look at her. Look at her and her majesty. All of her majesty. Yay! Mo, this was your baby. Do you want to tell us a little bit about her?
I don't really know where to start. It's just been a long process to get it done. But
Would you say it's
worth it?
Would you say it's been a long road?
I told Mo what to do, so I could start there and then Mo could
Sure.
talk about
Go for it.
It was like actually doing it.
Tell me what I had to do.
Yeah. So we wanted to do a legendary Akira. The Akira actually showed up pretty recently in season 2 of Star Trek Picard. It's certainly a fan favorite ship, and I think kind of through the mindshare it has of Star Trek and Star Trek ship fans, has kind of earned a legendary slot, even though it never carried a series or a movie on its own. But it's a really beautiful ship, designed by Alex Yeager at ILM for Star Trek First Contact. It showed up in DS9, and I think actually showed up in Voyager. It did show up in Voyager, and now it's also showed up in Star Trek Picard. And actually, I believe the model they used in Star Trek Picard was from STO. It was the model that I built, because it was one of the ones that we gave them. So,
well, there was something we ended up figuring out that most, if not all, of the ships on the screen in that one scene were our models, right?
A lot of them, yeah. I think there were a couple of EOMOS ones, but most of them were from us. But so when it came to picking out what could be the legendary version of the Akira, with legendary things, we like to lean into, if we can, obscure canon variations that might not be a lot of people might not know about, but like really big Star Trek fans will know and will want an STO, like the Phase 2 Enterprise, the post Nemesis refit for the Enterprise E. But in the Akira's case, you only really saw the canon, like the 24th century version, and we had already done an STO style Akira 3 times. We've done the Thunderchild, the Armitage, and the Alita, and those are all sort of STO style 25th century takes on this layout. And so, as I want to do, I decided this was a great excuse to make another motion picture era style ship. and that the Akira would be a great, it would be a lot of fun to see what that would look like with the Akira.
Thomas and Terry Metalis, loving motion
Mhm.
picture styling stuff.
Yep. But I mean, this is meant to be an actual ship from the 2290s or 2280s. That you just hadn't seen it before. Just a little lore in my head. This is customizable with all the other Akira parts, which means it's actually a lot bigger than a Constitution. The saucer's a lot wider, and the nacelles are bigger. So Mo actually made different nacelles. I'll let him talk more about the actual details in a second. But so in my head, this was like a battle cruiser or battleship. Kind of inspired by like the Yamato from Starfleet Command, if anybody's seen that, or the Star Trek. I think Legacy also had a big motion picture era. Essentially, in the motion picture era, this would have been their battleship or dreadnought at that scale. So, but it was a lot of fun watching Mo work on this and going over what that made things work for this era of ship, while also still being in Akira. So I'll let Mo take it from there.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you did for this girl, Mo.
Well, the first thing that I was just looking at other ships is from recommendation from Thomas. So hugely influenced by the Refit Constitution. It has a couple of elements also from the Miranda. You can see like from the side, you can see that lip how it raises up on the saucer. And then just like the nacelles are just like a new version of the Refit Constitution. So, and then just like bringing everything together and just getting all the skill right. The first problem that we came across was more like proportions, and because I never done a ship from this century before, so just trying to understand how every part speaks to each other. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but after 2-3 days, I think I got it.
Very cool.
And then just adding details.
There was somebody asked if this will also have motion picture era style blue nacelles. Is that a thing that we're doing with this, or?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Maybe we can throw that in later. To be honest, I kind of spaced on that, but that is that's a good note.
Yes, we appreciate notes from fans. No, please don't send us notes. I definitely remember seeing your check-in email for this ship, Mo, because I think my first thought upon looking at her was, holy shit, this is just very, very pretty. This is my kind of Starfleet ship. I love it. Is that a mission pod or a torpedo pod on the top there?
Torpedo pod.
Nice.
Yeah. So I do want to, one thing I want to publicly acknowledge, because I don't want people to think that I'm ignorant of it. I've been around in the Starship fan circles for a long time, right? And so there is a fan version of the TMP Akira concept. Like, I will never claim that any pastiche we do is an original idea. I mean, because it's futile. Like, somebody has done something everywhere. It's like, oh, let's take a steam runner and make a TOS version. Like, somebody's already done that, no matter what, right? So the Kusanagi, I just want to call out, by Diago Vincenzi. I don't remember how to pronounce his last name exactly, but it's a really cool design, and you should go look it up. But I made sure, as I was working with Mo on this, that this ship, which we're calling the Matsumoto, after Keiji Matsumoto, the creator of Space Battleship Yamato, who passed away recently, that the Matsumoto had a lot of very different pieces to it, and that it stood apart from the Kusanagi as its own design, because we wanted to do our own thing and try what's our take on this concept. But the concept is out there. It's been out there. I'm sure many people have done it, and the Kusanagi is a beautiful execution on the concept too. But the Matsumoto, we tried a few different things with this one, and I'm really pleased with what Mo did and how it came out.
That's awesome. I'll have to look that up later. It sounds really cool. But this is beautiful, and I love it. So I am gonna fly over here to take a look at some of her pets, which we'll get more stats and stuff on later. But I
Oh, and
imagine. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say before we look at the pets, the costumes, I'm working on the actual costumes right now. They're just using Valkyrie costumes,
Oh,
but I
okay.
will
So they'll have
be.
a different. They look like they have a different look than Valkyries here. Me looking at them. But I could be
No,
crazy.
that's just the Valkyrie
Is this the
costume. We'll
Valkyrie
we'll get a
costume?
different
Okay.
costume in for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I was trying to show off a different costume, and I didn't realize that wasn't in yet. So there will be a different
Mhm.
costume for these fighters.
Mhm.
All
I want to
right.
see it.
Yeah. Cool. Let me think. I think I am going to. Yeah. Let's go put this one through its paces and talk about what she does, and then we'll switch over to the other legendary ship we're revealing today. So, to our gala we go. Can you tell us a little bit about the fighter skins you will be making, Thomas?
Well, it's funny that somebody mentioned, are we going to do more ships from old games? Because the fighter that I'm making is actually from an old Star Trek game called Starfleet Command 2. And they have a motion picture era fighter. And we actually, Jonathan and I had a kind of a back and forth of what do we call this thing. Unfortunately, in that game, as far as I can recall, the fighter was just called Federation Fighter, which is not helpful. And so we're going to call it the Kodai class fighter, which is the main character in Space Battleship Yamato. So,
Hell yeah.
when you're art lead, you can just dictate these things.
Love all of those references. All right, we had a question about BOF stations, so we'll start there and then we'll look at some other stuff. This ship comes with a Lieutenant Universal, Lieutenant Tactical Command, Ensign Tactical, Commander Engineering Command, and Lieutenant Commander Science Miracle Worker. So this is a Command Miracle Worker ship. Jonathan, you want to tell us a little bit about that design?
Yeah, you said lieutenant. It shouldn't have 3 specialist seats. That should be. So this happens a lot when we're hooking it up.
Okay.
Lieutenant Commander Tactical and Lieutenant Command / Tactical are extremely similar to each other, and it is very easy to accidentally put one instead of the other. That should be a Lieutenant Commander Tactical, not a Lieutenant Command Tactical.
Okay. Got it.
So,
Okay.
so cool your jets. That is not. We are not breaking new ground by like doing whatever the hell this would be.
Got it.
There's also something interesting because this is and maybe you're about to get to this, but this is not an escort, right? That's also kind of an interesting thing for an
This
Akira.
is on the lighter end for a multi-mission cruiser. The idea is like it's still got a hangar bay. It's still a little more nimble than a normal cruiser, but it's a multi-mission cruiser.
Yeah, the full
It is a
title,
command.
as I had to type into the video today, is Legendary Akira Multi-Mission Command Cruiser. Both of these ships have some of the longer titles we've ever done in these games.
Oh yeah. So, let's see. There's a lot to talk about here, but first, before it's a gorgeous ship. Oh my
Yes.
God, it looks so good.
I
I love
know.
how it like looks like it has conformal fuel tanks, kind of like it's got some visual language from like it looks like a Corvette and a modern fighter, and like it's just nice to look at. I know I'm not an art guy, but I wanted to get that in there.
I agree with you
Fact that you said
100%.
Corvette. That's the fact that you said Corvette. That just like, really fills my heart because it kind of looks like that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, gorgeous visuals. So this is a sort of command and control torpedo boat. Which incidentally, very related. The concentrate firepower is finally getting separate timers for player ships and non-player ships. So no more torpedo pets stomping your concentrate firepower. This thing, let's see. I guess I'll just go into the trait. I'm just going to kind of wander around.
Yeah, I was just talking about
quick.
the initial design of like the specializations, but if you want to dive into trait and console,
Well,
you can as
they're
well.
all interrelated, right?
Yeah.
It's command Miracle Worker, and the trait is every time you use a command bridge officer ability for a short window, every time, all of your kinetic weapon damage will apply a reduction to kinetic damage resistance rating to your foes. And the window's short, but the duration on the debuff's very long. It's like 2 minutes at current tuning. That's subject to change before release, but the window to get the stacks is pretty short, but they last for pretty much forever. And whenever you activate a Miracle Worker Bridge Officer ability, all of your kinetic weapons do this as well. And they stack together up to like, right now it is 60 stacks at minus 50 kinetic damage resistance rating. So it's very much a torpedo command and control vessel where the fantasy is like sort of coordinating fire between a bunch of different entities. But where that giant slow stacking shred comes in is for the third piece of the puzzle, the motion picture torpedo. That's what we called it internally, but the official name is the Maelstrom Quantum Torpedo. So he has a special torpedo that has like visuals like from the TMP. If you can shoot off one of those fancy 3-stack torpedos, you might have seen it briefly there. It's the spiky blue guy.
Yeah, it's loading back up on cooldown on my screen, of course, and then I killed the guy. But yes, I will fire it off ASAP. Oh wait, I can just.
So these are probably the last torps in the game you want to put on auto fire. These guys are interesting. How they work is they store charges. It takes 30 seconds to create a charge, and you can store up to 3 charges, and all charges are expended when you fire. So you can store a full charge and then push it through a high yield or something and get like just numbered, like numbers.
Just all the numbers.
And the dream is that this will enable a play pattern more like what Star Trek Online originally envisioned, more like what we see on the show, where you fight for a little while and you decide, like the decision to fire the torp is a deliberate decision. Ships can only equip 2 of these things at once. There's some design noodly reasoning on that, but the TLDR is that like, we want you to be able to continue to play the game if you want to, so you could like stagger them and always have like a somewhat proximate decision on whether or not to shoot. And then they do have a PvP damage reduction because obviously they'd be one-shot monsters. Right now it's set to half damage. I don't know where that's going to have to land, but probably, I could see it going a couple different ways because like it's a really long cooldown, and because it's ammo, you can't cheat it with torpedo like DOS. Like there's no way to reduce the cooldown. But on the other hand, and also like when you see the torp coming, you could like hit various defensive countermeasures. But on the flip side, I mean, the one-shot potential is so huge. Probably they're going to end up needing like some kind of special damage adjustment in PvP. We started at 50%. Not sure where we'll land. And then, there's implications for like ISA parses could get kind of squirrely if, because you start out with a full charge and there's some really just kinetic soaky targets in there. So, some wiggle room there, but the dream is that this will be a prototype for a new kind of torpedo that we intend to make more of if it's successful. Like if this ends up working as we hope, I could see more Maelstrom torpedoes appearing in the game. So this is not intended to be like an Akira exclusive, though the Maelstrom torpedo, the Maelstrom Quantum Torpedo probably won't. Like, we're not sure exactly what we're going to do with it, but we have other exclusives in the bundle with it. So jury's out on that one. It's not even really up to me. It's kind of my boss's decision. I was trying to catch up with him before this stream, and the timing did not quite work out. But
no worries.
Is the Maelstrom. The motion picture visuals for sure are going to be unique to this ship. Like, we're definitely not going to take the motion picture torpedo and put it somewhere else. So probably the Maelstrom Quantum is unique to this, and Maelstrom Photon is what we end up going with elsewhere. I don't really know. Some of the stuff's over my helmet.
Cool. I just love watching the amount of damage that we're putting out. Christopher Stice said, does it change for spread or high yield? And I know the answer to that question, but I want you to answer it, John.
Yeah, it pushes all the damage through the high yield. The only thing it doesn't work with is nanite. And not a ton of people use nanite. But
so as you were saying in the meeting earlier, if you charge DPS up 3 of these and then hit spread, you're going to put out a bunch of super high damage torpedoes, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Spread and high yield will be dirty. Even transport warhead will work, so there's potential shenanigans there. Also worth noting that the overall DPS, if you leave it on auto fire, is a little bit lower than a quantum torpedo, but that gets really squirrely because torpedo global cooldowns makes measuring DPS on high cooldown torpedoes kind of squirrely. So just in terms of if you're sitting there with only one weapon on your ship and you left it on auto fire, that's roughly where the DPS lives. But the point is more to being able to take 90 seconds worth of quantum torpedoes and push them through one high yield 3. It's going to be disgusting.
So I just launched a whole bunch of fighters, and I know these guys are technically Valkyries, but different. Could you tell me a little bit about how that works?
So this one's kind of crazy too. So this ship comes with Command Valkyrie. So it comes with the Kodai visual variation on the Valkyrie fighter squadron. The Kodai fighters look they have their own visuals, but they're statistically identical to the Valkyrie fighter squadron. But the ship also comes with command Kodai fighters, which are a specialization variant on the base. And what that does is every time your ship activates a command inspiration aura, the fighters gain torpedo spread 1, and that has like a current tuning 40-second cooldown, I want to say, like a moderate cooldown. And yeah, the that's in should be good times, especially with the concentrate firepower.
We had a question from Trexpert about using these torpedoes on console, and I don't know if I quite understand the question, but I'm going to ask it. Since they don't have auto fire on consoles and just pull the trigger, how do you envision the torpedoes working there?
Probably they'll find a niche with combined armaments builds, like where there's I don't know if it'll be enough to unseat the Lorca Torp or go next to the Lorca Torp, or how exactly what the like proper meta build will shake out, but I expect the primary role will be in something like that. It's also a stranger solution, but like this might open the door to potentially slotting one of these things in an app slot, because like if you only have to turn your ship every 90 seconds, maybe cool guys don't look at explosions.
I was having a lot of fun with that just now. Okay, so we're looking at the stats on the torpedo launcher right now. This is a legendary ship, so that means, correct me if I'm wrong, we're not looking at new consoles, but we are looking at a new trait.
Yep.
Tell me about the new trait, my friend.
Yeah, nothing's gonna peel off the Lorca 2-piece. I'm real with myself. The new trait, I already went over that. That was the thing where, like, whenever you activate a Miracle Worker ability, it makes your kinetic weapons. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff with this ship. It's hard for me to keep track of too.
All right, everybody in chat is going, but the Lorca 2-piece, we know, folks. Don't worry, we know. All right.
I love it. I made it. I can't be mad at it.
Oh, no,
it looks
never.
so cool. It's so haunting.
Okay. There's the stats on the trait, folks. You already know about the console, but I'm going to show you the stats anyway. Actually, let me show you the stats on the fighters first, because these are the Kodai command, and you might get a kick out of that. I don't know if I have faces covering those stats. Let me know if I do.
Yeah, they do the specialization fighters are typically variations on existing fighters that do a little bit less damage, but have a cool ability that like hooks into the spec somehow.
Yeah,
is sort of the broad design.
The question went by: are the other Akira consoles that are missing because of the build? Yeah, absolutely. I just hit ready ship, and I don't think it threw them on here, but every console does come with the ship.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, but yeah, the Maelstroms are upgradable.
Very cool.
Great.
I don't know a quick way to grant myself torpedo spread. Somebody wanted to see what it looks like with torp spread.
If you can pop open the console.
I can.
Yeah, do you have access level on Redshirt?
Yeah. Not super high, but enough to hopefully do this.
You just add _power. Yeah,
Okay.
tab to autocomplete that, and then type like torpedo spread. You should find it.
1R2, does that sound right?
You want the R9 version.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, that's a holdover from way back in the day.
I think I got it, but it didn't pop up on my, let's see. Or maybe I don't have that much access level.
It'll be in your available power window, yeah.
Torpedo spread 1, there we go. Okay, let's drop it in there. I will need to make myself a target so you all can see this.
And yeah, the dream is to make, specialization leans for fighters, hangar pets of all sorts of different types. Fully intend to keep using that like concept.
So there you go. You guys can see that these things, I should have thought of that. These test dummies don't take damage, but y'all can see the massive numbers that were going up there when all of those went out. Okay, cool. Is there anything else that I've forgotten that we need to cover on this beautiful, beautiful ship, Jonathan?
The stock gear you saw, I haven't screwed with it too much yet, but stock gear on a ship doesn't really matter to most people. I think it's pretty much squared away. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that's got to be almost all of it, if not all.
Here's high yield with just one charge built up, just for you guys'.
Oh yeah, test dummies are wild. They don't got any shields. They don't got any resist. They don't get level scaling. Like, that's a level 1 NPC, so you're gonna see some wacky numbers.
Yeah,
but don't worry, when you put it on a ship that has abilities and consoles, you'll see wacky numbers there too.
All right.
I just want to give credit to Andrew Nielsen, the effects artist who made these torpedoes. He was really excited to recreate what you saw from the motion picture, and I personally have been wanting those in the game for a long time. I know other players have too, so I'm just very pleased with how they look, and I think it's a great, it's great to pair these with the Akira, which has been in as far as fans concerned, a very torpedo centric ship. So
Daniel Leon, no, those torpedoes were not from the console. They were special torpedo launchers that are coming with this ship, and it can be equipped on other ships, right?
The consoles, we haven't changed the binding rules.
No, not the console. The torpedo launchers.
Yeah, the torps free to equip anywhere.
Yeah, I had a feeling. All right.
And on console right now, there is not a good way to fire just the Maelstrom torps and not the other torps, or just the other torps and not the Maelstrom torps.
Yeah.
Which probably is going to have consequences for like how you want to build torps on console. And I'm looking for clever solutions there, but don't have anything immediately.
Duncan Idaho says he's equipping the torpedo launcher on a shuttle. Good for you. I can't wait to see that. All right.
I think it doesn't have a small variation, but I think technically you could probably put the launcher mechanism into a shuttle. I definitely don't think you could store the munition in a shuttle. But you can put the launcher in a shuttle and open the back and kind of
have somebody just throwing torpedoes in for you to fire. Just manually loading them in. All right. Let's now jump to our second ship. A bunch of people in chat have guessed it right. Hold on. Is this Mo? Is this a thing I need to talk about on the? No. Okay. This is just something you're letting me know.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, just check it out.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's move on to our next baby, which some of you guessed. We'll head up to space so you can see her better. Question for you, John, as we're loading. Apple Dairy says, and this is, I'm guessing, just a thing that has happened, but the Vesta consoles were unlocked for all ships when you got a legendary version. Why aren't we unlocking the Akira for all ships?
Well, maybe that's just my...
Uh-oh. Jonathan, did I lose you? Oh, no! Did I lose everybody? Am I offline? Okay, chat, can you hear me? Let's start there. Because everything on Discord seems to be frozen. Okay. Okay, cool. Chat can hear me. It looks like Discord froze, which is a problem. I'm going to briefly pull up the Be Right Back window and see if I can restart Discord. So, BRB. let me unmute myself. All right, gang, we fixed that problem quickly enough, thankfully. Let us take a look at our next beauty. Now, many of you said legendary. Okay, you guys said Valdor earlier. I've been saying Valdore. Is it Valdor or Valdore?
Valdor, I guess.
Valdor. Okay, cool.
I mean, technically it's Mogai.
Yeah,
if you
it's a
really want to
Mogai. And that was what I was going to ask about. So tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that breakdown, Thomas.
That's just Thomas is spinning too many plates and had a family emergency and lost lock on what he needed to do to communicate the proper names of things. So internally we've been calling it a legendary Valdor since we brought it up, because that, the ship that shows up in Nemesis is the Valdor, but in Star Trek Online, so there's a ship name and then there's a class name, and the ship name is the one specific ship and the class name is the type of ship. And the class name is Mogai, and I never told people, hey, by the way, well, yes, it is the Valdor, we should actually start calling it the Mogai, legendary Mogai, since that's a class name. So a lot of this is going to go into the game as legendary Valdor, which is like fine, because you, as a legendary ship, you will get the Valdor costume with it. So it's not, it's
So that's fine.
it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but the real, the real class name, the legendary we're making is Mogai, and also we remastered the Mogai, by the way, for this.
Which you can sort of see because this ship is a Mogai with a fin, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah. This is actually the I'm calling it the Melponar. We don't know what the actual name of the ship was, from Crisis Point 2, the Lower Decks episode, where you see some Mogai class ships, but they have a cool fin and some other variations. Tobias Richter made both the remastered Mogai and this new Lower Decks version, and so we're excited to have this version in the game for the legendary skin. And some people will notice, if you look at the side, there's a bug with the neck right now.
Say, yeah, just to
we know it's there. I actually just fixed it earlier today, so it'll be fine.
Thomas, what are you talking about? This is a 36th century or 32nd century Mogai.
Right.
That's why. It's just the instead of detached nacelles, it's detached back half of the ship.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to. I know people have wanted a remastered Mogai for a long time, so it's a entirely new model, entirely new material. Tobias did great work on it, and there's also a brown version of the material too, because in Nemesis you see, I guess they did it so you could tell them apart, but there's a green Mogai, which is the Valdor, and then there's a brown version, which I don't know if that ship ever got a name. Maybe it did in the card game or something, but you can use both material colors for the remaster.
Nice. Mike Wolf, great question about not wanting to get these ships in a lockbox. You don't have to. This is a legendary bundle. It'll be in the Zen store, buddy. We actually, I just remembered, and because chat reminded me, cut off in the middle of the answer to your question, John, about the consoles on the Akira.
Oh yeah, that might just be on me. This is the first legendary bundle I've done, and there's a lot of weird little nuances to them. I was not aware of the precedent of unlocking all consoles. If that's indeed the case, and previous legendary bundles have unlocked the old consoles for everything, I am going to go ahead and just do that.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll check back on that and get back to y'all. Let's see. Well, F8 Explorer, we can check that out ourselves in a second. But Thomas, do you want to tell us a little bit about the process that Tobias went through remastering the Mogai and, also turning it into this legendary Mogai, which is not a Valdor, but is also a Valdor?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the process for canon chips is a lot more straightforward usually, because it's essentially just like, well, make this thing. where there's a ton of iteration and back and forth with the Matsumoto that Mo did. For this, it was a lot more straightforward in the sense of, oh yeah, it's the Valdor, but it has a big fin on it. And I think we probably spent the most brain power just figuring out what I wanted the skin variant to be called, which is named after, like I said, the Melponar triplets, I guess, the Romulan, evil Romulan triplets that commanded the ship in that Lower Decks episode. but I think Tobias does a great job embellishing things, and so he, even though it's on lower decks, so that's it's a cartoon style, but he took that fin and made it extrapolated on the detail to make it fit in more with the rest of the ship, detail wise, using the texture and the feather patterns and stuff.
Yeah,
There's also subtle details on the head, and the weapons pods are a little different too. So
really
he was
like
very
that. It's very pretty.
yeah. These the original Mogai was designed by John Eves for Star Trek Nemesis, and it's a great it's sort of a great expansion of the Romulan shipbuilding language. It's still a big bird, but it's, as opposed to the Diderex, which is stately and imposing. The Mogai feels very lethal and sleek.
Yeah, very cool. So since this was a canon ship with a couple of embellishments, this was probably one of our easier approval processes for a lower deck ship, huh?
Yeah, very easy. It's yep, not anything to worry about.
Nice. Sorry, didn't mean to ask you, to put you on the spot like that. My bad. Brain Drain says he wants to get one and call it Rodan. Yes, absolutely. In fact, anyone who doesn't name this ship Rodan is a coward, I've decided. Uh, okay, so that is awesome. Let us take her then off to Argala and show off some cool stuff. Or actually, let's look at the stats here before I go to Argala, so we don't have to deal with all the... So let's start by looking at some stations. We've got, and tell me if any of these are wrong, Jonathan. We've got a Lieutenant Commander Universal Pilot, Commander Tactical Temporal Ops, Lieutenant Tactical, Lieutenant Engineering, and Lieutenant Science. That'll sound right?
That's all correct.
Okay, cool. Sweet. So tell us a little bit about the design for this ship.
All right. So yeah, very much inspired by Paradoxus. That episode's fantastic. It's a legendary ship, so it doesn't have a console, but if it did have a console, it sure would be the Chronogami. And boy, isn't the Chronogami interesting. I sure hope that makes it into the game someday. It's very much a temporal ops focused ship, as you would expect. Also, a little bit of a design philosophy update for the Mogai. This one leans heavily away from shields because it is a vessel that likes to pop in and out of cloak. It has an enhanced Romulan cloaking device, or Romulan battle cloak, that is, and so it has like lower shields, more hull, essentially. For its base stats. Otherwise, fairly typical representative of the Mogai class with, what you would expect from a legendary ship.
Very cool. All right, let's talk about her trait first then. We've got Temporal Replication.
So this trait is whenever you use a Temporal Ops consumer ability or a Commander Bridge Officer ability, any foe that's hit by that, it has a 20% chance per entropy on the foe to apply a random rank 1 consumer ability to that foe.
Ooh.
And if it does trigger, the consumer ability will be treated as having the same number of entropy stacks as the foe had when it was triggered. So, like, if you stack up 5 on a foe and then consume it, you'll have a guaranteed proc that will also have 5 entropy stacks on it.
Joe Webb, you were 100% right. I was saying the wrong version of Valdor. I've had it in my head for so long. At the wrong way. Okay, this ship also, like the Akira, comes with some brand new fighters. Shall we talk a little bit about these Temporal Ops Scorpions?
Indeed, applying entropy is easier said than done, but it becomes slightly easier if you use Temporal Ops Scorpions, which have a percentage chance on attack to apply a stack of entropy. And you'll notice that you can do that without necessarily having Temporal Ops seating on your ship. And how mysterious that the trait triggers off of command level bridge officer abilities and not necessarily a Temporal Ops one. But the thing is, it's not going to be anywhere near as what you get from the full trait. Like the full Temporal Ops spec has a lot of like internal synergy, especially related to spreading the entropy charges around. So it'll be a lot better on a Temporal Ops ship.
Very cool. All right. Consoles are the ones y'all have seen before on previous versions of the of this ship. And,
And the previous versions of the Ezio Auditore.
yeah, there we go. This guy got ionized particle beam. We got shield absorptive frequency generator. We got ablative hazard seeding. Somebody was asking about the experimental weapon. Do you know what experimental weapon this ship comes with?
The precedent is that legendary ships come with a generic experimental weapon, and it does indeed come with the excited ion particle stream. I did not have time to do a temporal ops one, and I wasn't sure if it was right, so I want to see how the hangar pets land before I expand that to other systems.
All right. Well, speaking of seeing how the hangar pets land, let's head on over to Argala and see that for ourselves.
Also worth noting, normal Scorpions are a Riemann design. This is a Romulan take on the Riemann design, and Thomas was kind enough to contribute a different hull material version of the Scorpion.
It will be, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not in this build.
Yeah.
Also, all the command spec versions of existing fighters do shed a bit of DPS to make up for their special qualities. And well, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't often bet against raw DPS. They'll be good if you specialize into them. You'll probably get better performance out of them. But for most applications, especially if you're doing parsing stuff, you're probably going to just want the raw DPS one. That's not where we're going to target forever with balance, but this is uncharted waters, so we're playing with it.
Yeah.
Currently it's 8% DPS, or a little bit less. It's a little shave off the top. And certainly both the Valkyrie and the Scorps parse just fine, so they got plenty of headroom there.
Yeah. Spicy ball meat, which, wow, I had to say that out loud. Spicy ball meat, I appreciate the dedication to your favorite ship. I promise you, if and when we ever have plans for a Dauntless remaster, you will hear about it on this here stream. But, you don't have to ask every week.
And I just want to reiterate, because it's very obvious with the cloaking and coming into the system that we know the next attach, and it's not intentional. It's a bug that has been fixed already. So
also cop to my bug on the Akira. It's currently got there was a mix-up between Lieutenant Command Tactical and Lieutenant Commander Tactical. It's super easy to do on the data side, but the ship does not, in fact, have 3 spec seats. It only has 2.
I was wondering about that. All right. This thing seems to pack a punch even with my complete lack of build, so that's very exciting. I think I just hit a beam button on a non-beam loadout, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, and it does have an ERBC, so an enhanced Romulan battle cloak.
Excellent. Little Chumba, 3 spec seats would move bundles, though. You're right, but it would probably break something else, and we like things not broken.
If we were going to do a 3 spec seat, why would we pick 2 of the same spec, right?
Yeah.
I would be more interested to some weird alien ship gets a 3rd ensign rank or something let you have 3.
That would be fun.
That's where I'd want to start. Anyway.
That would be a funny thing to do with a pack-led clump ship.
Oh, God, yes.
I pack-led clump ship when I am so
pack-led clump ship is the dream. We all want it. We all know how technically batty it is to put together. Ooh, one day, y'all. One day.
God, yeah, I can't imagine what that would be like from the art side.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah. Thomas, which do you think we'll see first? This is a hypothetical and a joke question, folks. Don't take this seriously. Which do you think we'll see first, a playable board cube or a clump ship?
Oh my God, I'm just not gonna answer. There's no way we'll be done regret whatever the next thing that comes out of my mouth.
You have learned well, Padawan. Or sorry, Ensign.
Don't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. If we did put out the Jaeger, that's technically a club ship. Maybe we do a 3 specialization on that.
Oh yeah, worth noting, there's some weirdness with the entropy stacking on the fighter. You have to unselect the ship and reselect to see the entropy stacks.
Okay.
The game sees them. They're there, but they don't show up for some reason. It's kind of funky. I'm hoping we can get that fixed for release, but there's something to do with how the game decides when to update entropy stacks. So you can see 2 there on that ship, but
Got it. Yeah. John Davis 01 in the canon of Star Trek Online April Fool's jokes. The Path Jaeger is a absolutely 100% a pack-led design ship. On a similar subject, by the way, just because I want to get it out there, We might only have the usual in-game April Fool's jokes this year. This week is getting very crunchy, and I haven't had a lot of time to put together a funny blog. So I might have something funny for you over the weekend, and I might not.
Honestly, at this point, it's almost an April Fool's joke to not have an April Fool's
That's
joke.
true. That's very true. All right. Is there anything else stats-wise from this beautiful, beautiful ship that you want us to talk about, Jonathan?
Let's see. That should pretty much be it. Although I guess it's a response to a question, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for
it. Someone mentioned, or Disco Dragon was like, can you add plasma quads? Because there's not a way to unlock them account wide. And like, yeah, that just seems like a total gimme. I'll totally throw some on there.
All right. Hell yeah. I definitely this ship is very fun to fly.
Assuming it's as simple as I look up plasma quads and can just put them on the ship. If something goes wrong with it, I can't like print more time. This thing,
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of wiggle room right now because of the summit and all that stuff.
Yeah, lots of stuff happening this week. People are asking about the price. I unfortunately don't have that information in front of me. I should have grabbed that before the stream, and I apologize. Thomas, you don't happen to know as a director, do you?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I do.
Oh, you
Am
do?
I allowed to say it?
Yeah, totally. Totally. We're advertising.
All right. Let me.
I don't want to say there definitely will be because there's I guess a minuscule chance there won't, but I can't imagine there won't be a sale on this when it goes live. But yes, launch price, please, or not launch price, standard price.
Teams has stopped responding. So I know there's a launch sale. I want to say it's currently like targeted to be 30% off.
That sounds right from what we usually do.
Well, I have a blog draft in here I can fish it out of because Teams isn't responding.
Okay, cool. Zobera's, the extra skins that you're getting with this legendary bundle are the extra skins you've seen on the stream tonight. We don't have any surprise other century versions of the ships to throw at you.
12,000 Zen. Base
right,
price, 30% sale.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff in the bundle besides these two ships, which I know none of us have the information on right at this exact
I actually also have that information.
Oh, you do? I thought you said you didn't earlier. Okay, cool.
I didn't then. I do now.
Excellent.
I went and got it.
Cool. Yeah. What else is going to be in the bundle, Jonathan?
2 ship slots, 2 ship upgrade tokens, 2 special requisition packs, Federation Junior Cadre, 2 Romulan Survivor Duty Officer packs, 23rd Century Vulcan Ambassador outfit, Mercenary set, Species Unlock Cardassians, Cyborg Miracle Worker Bridge Officer, and of course all the fighters I just talked about, which are pack exclusives, and the Maelstrom Quantum Torpedo, which is currently not slated as a pack exclusive, but this is the first place it's showing up. It's just, kind of experimental, but we might do more of it later.
Else. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends how much stuff it breaks and how much of my hair I have to pull out about it.
Yeah. Master Dude 94 has done the math and puts that at you said 120,000. I always forget the dollar.
I thought I said 12,000.
12,000? Okay, sorry. So 12,000. So then, yeah, that makes sense. So then 8,000 on sale is what the math seems to work out for what we think the sale might be. Please don't hold me to that. I don't know for sure. All right, cool. We had a couple of questions come in during the stream that we wanted to grab and answer later. Jonathan, Trexpert wants to know if the Maelstroms can be tagged to the radial on console as opposed to on the usual trigger.
That is a really good idea. I do not have access to a console development kit, like a way to like mess with that myself, but I'm gonna look into that. That sounds promising.
Talk to Travis. Travis knows all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Disco Dragon. Oh, you already asked about the plasma quads, so great. Answered about plasma quads, so we're good there on questions. All right. We've got a few minutes here. Does anybody else have questions about the bug reports? Are fine. Throw them in. We'll write them down. But if you have questions about the ships we saw tonight, or general questions for any of the 3 wonderful people you're here, just send them our way. Just keep in mind, X thing when will never be answered, and asking for a specific kind of ship that you want, or skin that you want, or uniform that you want, or weapon that you want, we won't really be able to answer those questions in any way that will satisfy you. So, other fun questions are cool.
Could I toss one in?
Yeah.
Oh, you first. Oh, well, I just saw one earlier. Yeah, that's on me. I just forgot about the reroute reserves to weapons console queue condition. That's one I can just do on my own. I've just been distracted.
Okay, cool. Thomas,
thank you for the reminder.
Thomas, people want to know if the Alita has a 7A.
So I think Mo, you added the 7A to the Akira family, right? So it will get that material option. We did not. If people are asking, did we remaster the Alita? No, we haven't remastered any of the other Akiras. The Akira itself got remastered a few years ago and still looks great. He says that the person who did the remaster, but we didn't have the bandwidth to remaster the Alita, unfortunately. But it still will get the 7A material.
Cool. Sorry, scrolling up to see who this was. Darth Dragonborn wants to know if the legendary Valdor will be customizable with previous Valdor skins or Mogai skins.
Yes.
Had a feeling. Okay,
Right.
cool.
There's a couple ones I seen. One, yeah, the torpedo speed. Oh my god, that's such a rabbit hole. It turns out that the first fix got the buff to apply to torpedoes, but it couldn't make torpedoes give a shit about stats. And there's a lot of stats torpedoes don't give a shit about. We already have it fixed internally, and it hasn't shipped yet. Fingers crossed, should be fixed this time. I thought that before, but hopefully, I mean, it's working on my machine. But yeah, it should be fixed and shipping live soon. Also, there's like an old set bonus it's not just the Swarmer and the Hydra. There's a third one, but it only works on plasma high yields, so nobody cares about it. But it like never even existed as far as I could tell. So I just built it, and it seems like it's working now. So it has an actual number, 25%, and then the other two 30%, and those should all be working next patch.
Cool.
Same patch. Oh, I don't want to say same patch, but yeah. Soonish.
Saw a question run by for you, Jonathan, about the wingman trait working for saucer separation, arrow shuttle, multi-vector assault mode, etc., in the future. Is that something you're looking at?
Probably not. It takes a long time to go back and rebuild old traits to do something that they weren't really designed to do. But I could definitely see traits like it working for that stuff in the future.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yes, folks. We all would love more Klingon ships. Just depends on when we make them. Just because that was like 3 questions about more Klingon ships that I thought I'd throw at. Let's see. Thomas, do you want to talk a little bit about? We've answered this question a few times on stream, but since we have the art director here, do you want to talk a little bit about the amount of effort that would be required to quote update all the old uniforms so they look nice, end quote?
Yeah, I mean, what you're asking for is just to redo all the old uniforms. That's what people are asking for when they say that, right? And that's the same thing usually for ships. When we remaster a ship, 9 times out of 10, that means just redoing the whole ship. So we have some instances where we can take that time to update something that exists, but as far as costumes go, that is such a huge investment in time that it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's much more it's much smarter for us to be making new things like the Torchbearer outfit, stuff that like we don't actually have in the game yet.
Yeah.
So that's essentially the long and short of it.
Yep. There we go. Elemist 91, Jonathan wants to know any chance of a balance pass for the Romulan Singularity Core abilities.
That's the same answer as like in previous weeks, where it's like I would love to, but there's like a majillion tons of old content, so it's all about, is it something I can do as part of a big initiative that touches a lot of things, sort of like the pilot rework or the stuff I'm doing on Hangar Pets right now. Like if it's part of something that I can touch many things at the same time, then it'll probably be efficient enough to be worth doing. But going down and playing individual whack-a-mole with like over a decade of content it just is a losing proposition, and not a small one. It's pretty devastating, actually. So the odds that any individual old piece of content is going to go get balance love is like extremely unlikely.
Cool.
I actually saw a couple that raised questions for me. If I could hop on those.
If you've got them, go. I'm trying to follow as many of these. I've got 3 chats going, and they're all coming as fast as possible. So
right,
hit
it's
me.
like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
So there was someone who was like asked about mentioned feel the weight of our presence that was broken. I saw that was causing like crippling performance issues, and I rebuilt the power from the ground up. And I guess it depends how the user meant it was broken. Like if it's causing horrible performance issues, that should be fixed. If it's no longer working at all, I will want a bug ticket about that, which brings me nicely to the second one, which is someone asked if the next patch will have fixes to the Texas console and experimental weapon. I'm not aware of any bugs on those.
So remember, folks, when you're
please
reporting
report those. Get
bugs,
them in the QA flow.
yep, when you're reporting bugs on the stream, there's two things you can do. The first and most important is please go report those bugs in the forums with as many details as you can, so that we have it written down, as opposed to poor Jonathan and Christian and I trying to get them all into our eyeballs. But second, when you report a bug, just saying something's broken is zero help. Please, please, please tell us how it is broken. What happens when it's broken? I know that it feels like you report these things constantly over and over, and so, quote unquote, the devs should know, but just give us all the details anyway. And if we don't know, well, then we'll know and we can fix it.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off on that. So a few weeks ago, STO passed the 1 million check-in milestone, which means that there have been 1 million pieces of data checked into the game's version control system. 1 million. Over the last 13 plus years.
Yeah.
Games are complicated.
Yep.
And so we need your help to track this stuff down. And screenshots are invaluable. A very explicit, description of what went wrong, what you were expecting to happen, what didn't happen is invaluable. But if you give us a bug report about X is broken and you should know about it. I mean, there are 999,999 other things that we're keeping track of too. So we do need specificity. If there's a bug that you want us to fix, be specific about it. Otherwise,
the most
we
specific
probably
you can.
aren't going to do it.
But channel, if you're really mad about the bug, channel that anger into more details. Type angrily to us about all of the details you have on the bug. It's like when I was I made a website once and I posted it on a forum for feedback, and I only got feedback from one guy, and he was so pissed at me because I'd done such a bad job, but he kept coming back with more like, and this thing, mother effer, like, you did this wrong, and it was a great resource for me because I could just go through and fix all the things that he was mad about. Let's see. Maranthian, any bug, report on the forum. Always report on the forum. There's support forums on the forum for that. D. Hunter Whalen, the update on the December Q&A thread is that this is a problem that's being run into that is sort of my fault. I started up the Q&A process because I wanted more transparency, and I wanted you guys to be able to get answers directly from the developers more often. The problem is the developers are very busy, and when you say to them, can you answer this question, they want to answer it in as much detail as possible. And so then instead of the short, fun answers I envisioned, people thought I was asking them to write novels, which I was absolutely not trying to do. And again, to everyone in this chat and any devs that might be listening, I'm so sorry. So the Q&A thread, the questions for that Q&A thread have not been answered yet, and I feel weird about starting a new one without answering the questions from the old one. I will try to chase that down anyway. Go ahead.
A couple I saw. So the old Cobalt torpedoes, that's pretty much the same as the Romulan Singularity. Like when it's specific old pieces of content, unless it's part of a broader push, it probably is not going to get touched. And then someone was asking about like, are torp boats going to be impacted by like this thinking that torps are supposed to be more thinky? That was something we had previously wanted, but torps evolved in the game, right? Like the way torp boats are now is fine in my book. This is just a way to like, well, since we didn't end up with a thinkier, slower torp, is this a way we can maybe put one in? So it's not going to go back and like shake up how other torpedoes work or anything like that. And whoever was stuck talking to a GM about a bug, goodness, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, post them on the forums.
Yep.
If you're banned from the forums, a lot of stuff sponsored by NordVPN. I don't know, like.
Well, if you're banned from the forums, what did you do?
Bugs, I guess.
Yeah, because we're pretty lenient on those forums. We only totally remove people when they're absolute A-tier jerks. So if you're banned, what did you do? And if you feel like you've learned your lesson, I suppose you can reach out to me and be like, I promise I'll be better, but we'll be watching you very closely. Let's see.
We'll let Amaranth decide if you can come back or not.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay. Okay. Epic Shelter Gaming is hopping back and forth between two chats to ask if the Terran monitor is getting the Nebula set. I don't think it is because this seems to be just his personal crusade, but I will ask his question because he had the dedication to be both on YouTube and Twitch, spamming it over and over. Jonathan, any thoughts on that? I think that's for you.
The monitor getting the Nebula set?
Yes.
I don't. Okay. Oh no, actually, I know what this is in relation to. So this is like a can of worms that I opened for my own edification when with the Mars Escort. Someone like posted like, "Oh, this is Mars. This console should work on the Mars Escort," and I was like, I looked into it. Oh my goodness! Most consoles are restricted by a list of specific ships. They're not looking for classes. They're looking for like this ship name, this ship name, this ship name, and that ship name. And I am terrified to open that door. I think that each one I fix will, like the mighty Hydra, spawn many more requests to fix many more. It would be great to make them just look at ship classes. Like that's probably what they should have been doing the whole time. I don't know why they're not just looking at like a tagging system. Like, okay, these ships are tagged as Galaxy variants, and all Galaxy variants can use the console. That's how like it probably should be, but that's not what it is. And I don't even know how long it would take me because I don't even know how many impacted consoles there are, but a lot is my understanding. So that is something that is on my wish list that I would like to come back to. It seems like it might touch enough pieces of content to be worth one of those broad pushes I was talking about, where like I go back and update them all to work on class tags, and then it just works for the future, which would be nice. But go and individually smash some D100 number of moles, like 5 or 6 D100, like
yeah.
I can't. I don't have the authority to commit to that. I mean, let alone the ability.
Were you here when we updated all the tier 6 ships to be leveling? Because if I remember correctly, that was a similar long process of just we need to whack-a-mole literally 600 things.
That was a heavy lift. I remember those were in the days of that was when I just got here. That was a big effort. I don't think this would be that big, but a pretty big, like multiple days, maybe a whole week. Like it'd be a pretty significant lift.
Yeah. James Neo Saturn wants to know what our reactions were to seeing the Fleet Museum in Picard Season 3. My reaction was, that was my idea! No, I'm kidding. But I did come up with something very similar for STO that turned into the celebration event we do every year in September for Star Trek's birthday. It would be really cool to update said event to look like the Fleet Museum. I don't know how heavy of a lift that is, and I'm not going to commit anybody on the team to doing that, but it was very cool. Let's see. Oh, go ahead, Thomas.
No, and you actually Mike messaged me about this, but I didn't have the bandwidth to get back to you right away. But it could take a few weeks, I think, to set that up. So I don't know that we'll do it. I mean, I guess it's kind of good that we didn't do anything fancier yet, because then we would have had to redo it.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen what it actually looks like, but it was really cool for sure.
Yeah.
And then and the seeing the Pioneer in the credits was cool.
Yeah, it was dope.
It was part of the museum.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're getting a flood of questions that are sort of going. Now we're at that point of the stream where the questions start to go downhill. I love you all, and I appreciate you. But Jonathan, unless you've seen anything that you directly want to answer, I am going to find us someone to raid.
I actually have a question I want to ask, which I know you've already posed, but
Please
just
pose
calling
again.
out there, we are engaging in a sinister project on systems design that involves looking at balance on a lot of different kinds of ships. So this is, we would very much appreciate if you could submit to Mike your any like high-end builds you've got. So that this doesn't have to be like, competitive best nanny ship, best tank, best DPS, or anything like that, but like just like you've got your gold 15s, you got a strong setup available to you. If you could submit the account name, character name, and ship name, that's all you got. Those 3 pieces of information, we can take a look at the container, and that's going to help me and the other systems guys quite a bit in terms of balancing this offering that we're like percolating under our hood.
I will
and
make it
variety
official.
is what we want here.
Sorry, I will make an official thread on the forums for this. Initially, I had misunderstood the ask, Jonathan, and that's my bad. I thought you had wanted me to only reach out to particular people I knew in the community, which is why it hasn't been as wide a blast. So if you want a full wide blast like this, then absolutely, I'll get it set up for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a million years looking at each ship, right? Like if I open the ship and I see a bunch of purple, I'm just going to close the ship. There's going to be a lot of them, but it's hugely helpful for what we're trying to do to cast a wide net here.
Sweet. All right. Well, folks, the raid is starting over here on Twitch. For everybody on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. For Jonathan, Thomas, and Mo, thank you all so much for joining us. Mo, go get some sleep. I'm so sorry. And
I like doing this. I like hearing what the people are saying.
okay, good. Okay, so people have posted it at all 3 chats. Let me quickly say we know about the sound effect bug on console with with ground weapons. I don't know how that got fixed on PC and then ended up transferred over to console, and that sucks that happened. It will be fixed soon. But thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate you all, and we will see you next week.